Welcome to What If Deku Was Abandoned. Check the author out and like and sub. Metal Man, get the greasy girl out of the metal box. My snakes are telling that there's someone there. Small Izuku yelled at Power Loader. Greasy girl? You gotta be kidding me, Power Loader yelled as he stomped to the bus and kicked open the storage part of it to reveal a wild mechanic munching on a potato. Atsuumi, Power Loader yelled in anger while Meihatsum made herself known by running away from her teacher. Whoa, you must be the wild boy that Eraserhead told Nezu about, she yelled, grabbing Izuku. Why are you so small? Oh, and how did you beat all of Class 1A? She asked, still running from Power Loader. I am the strongest. King of this forest, Izuku Midoriya. He squeaked while in her hands. That's cool. Do you want to test my babies because the best can only use them? Hatsum said, getting wrapped in capture cloth, crashing to the floor. That's enough. How are you here, Hatsum? Aizawa yelled at her. Well, I hacked Nezu's phone, duh, she said as if that was the most normal thing ever. I heard that you found a strong one that was living in a forest, so I wanted to see. So I hid in the storage part of the bus with some potatoes that I stole, from lunch rush. Sue used her tongue to grab Izuku from the mechanic's hands. You okay? She asked. Leave me alone, pray. Why wouldn't I be okay? He yelled. Sue just looked at him annoyed and threw him with her tongue at Ragdoll, who catches him. All of you go back to training, and Bakugo, if attack another teacher like you did, All Might, you're expelled. Though he did deserve it, Aizawa said, with Nezu looking at Izuku with interest. Aizawa couldn't erase his quirk when he turned them to stone. So that means it is always active, and he has regeneration too. On top of that, he has a couple transformations. His abilities remind me of the Greek beast Medusa. Nezu thought as Izuku returned to full size. Look, the kid is a danger to everybody. All Might says to them as Izuku flipped him off something he learned from Bakugo the previous night. He is just a kid and you punched him into multiple trees that would have killed anybody, not superhuman, Aizawa yelled at him. Kota, let's start your training so you can be like me the fastest way. Learn how to breathe, Izuku yelled, showing Kota how to do the breathing technique. Will mine be like yours? Kota asked him. He shook his head. No, mine is beast breathing. It gave me enhanced feel so I can sense things, so I don't what you will get, he said in a calm tone. He is really good with kids, Mandalay and the other teachers thought watching him teach Kota. The rest of you, Aizawa said, turning his head to the rest of the class. To put it simply, you all got your asses handed to you by an untrained feral kid. Yes, he has a quirk and wild fighting style, but in the footage he didn't even use them till recently. He has no training whatsoever. That means all of you are slacking off, meaning the difficulty of your training is going up. They listened to their teacher's words. It was the truth. They were seriously outclassed when it came to Midoriya and them. The only one that could get to the same level right now was their own ego central. Firecracker. Look, we made an event so both classes are against each other. Last team standing wins, Aizawa said in a bored tone. Where is Midoriya? He is gone. So is Kota and Mandalay? Kaminari asked. He probably showing them something. Now back to training. Cut to them. Midoriya, where are you leading us? Mandalay asked, holding Kota as they went deeper into the forest. The place I sleep, he yelled as she looked around. We would have not found him in this place. Then again, who think that there is a wild teenager that can turn into a snake in a forest? She thought as Izuku kicked a boulder to the side like nothing, revealing a cave entrance. They entered to see a couple things: a bed made of leaves, a rock lamp that had animal fat as fuel, and a bear rug. Midoriya, is this where you lived? She asked while Kota explored. Hell yeah. This place is my home. I am here just to take a couple things, Izuku yelled, digging into a box full of tools. Here it is. He took out another Nichiren blade with a black and red handle with a circle guard. Kota, this is for you, he shouted, handing him the blade. I thought you said you only had one set? She asked. Yeah, for dual wielding, duh, he said, going back to searching the box. This is for you. Izuku screamed again, tossing Mandalay a small box. She opened it to see it filled with emeralds, rubies and sapphires. Where the hell did you get this? she asked, looking at the gems. "When I was digging with my snake friends we found a box, so I tried to eat it, but it didn't work, so I kept them," he explained. Kota took off the scabbard to reveal a black blade that was as dark as obsidian. His eyes glowed in excitement with holding the bladed weapon. He put scabbard back on the blade and strapped it to his hip like Izuku with his serrated blades. They leave and Izuku closed the entrance with the same boulder. On the way back Izuku takes off running towards the camp. Mandalay with Kota in her arms takes off after him. When they reach the camp they see him fighting both classes with Hatsune taking notes. "Y'all suck," he yelled, throwing Kota like nothing and kicking away a boulder that was thrown at him by Yui Kodai. He turns into his Lamia form and began to fight the beast of Class 1B. They charged at each other and slammed each other's heads together. Izuku constricted him as he tried to pull him off of him. Izuku only tightened his hold on him till he passed out, and Izuku turned back to normal, dropping his blades on the ground. The two classes were to his left and right. "Are you gonna keep stand in there? Come and fight." They all rushed him, and Izuku slowly, but surely began to take them all down. If they worked together they would have been able to take him down. Pixie Bob said, making an earth monster to join the fight. "Yeah, but they are only focused on beating him. It is nice he has no fighting style, though he fights like a wild animal and he adapts to their fighting style to win." Aizawa analyzes while Hatsune scribbles more designs for babies for the transforming snake. An explosion goes off, sending arm at their feet. Bakugo blasted off Izuku's arm when they were fighting. Izuku uses his foot to sweep under Bakugo's, making him fall back. He regenerates his right arm and kicks him in the gut, making him skid across the floor. He dodges a torrent of fire and destroys an ice trail going towards him. His muscles expand and sprints at Todoroki, kicking his ribs, making him crash into the floor. Izuku dodges Sato's many punches and jumped into the air, dodging a pair of hands that came out of his shadow. How the hell is he doing this blind? Mina yelled, trying to get up, but can't due to the pain. "Man, we need to upgrade our training because this isn't going to cut it," Kaminari said in a painfully. After a bit the rest of the both classes were down except for Bakugo and Izuku. Both were breathing heavily. Izuku kept regenerating while Bakugo was running on adrenaline. Both weren't going down. "Okay. That is enough fighting. All of you are tired, and Bakugo, you get extra credit for holding out for so long," Aizawa said. Izuku picked up his blades and placed them on his hip. "Oi Spiky, come with me, I will teach you the breathing technique," Izuku yelled, getting Bakugo's attention, so he walked to him. He is going to teach Bakugo the technique that cut a car in half. He is broken already. It is like giving a hyper kid candy. Mineta whined, so Izuku kicked him again. "Shut it, small fry," Izuku yelled at him. "Midoriya, please stop attacking Mineta." Garosu told him tiredly, "What if I told you?" He was looking at her chest. Izuku lyingly said, pointing at Kanoko. "Then that changes everything," Momo said with a menacing aura surrounding her along with the other girls behind her. They looked at Mineta with intent to kill. He just looked at them beating up the small fry. It was funny to him until he felt a tap on his shoulder. He turned to his head even though he can't see through the mask. "I know you lied because of my quirk, but I won't tell if you teach me to," Jiro whispered to him. "Ah, purple hair got me. If she is on my side then I can lie all I want." He thought, "Sure, if you promise never to tell on me," he said, sticking out his hand. She shook it and a snake wrapped around their arms. "This is a deal you can never break," he said as the snake faded. "Sure, Cabbage Patch, just teach me," she said, walking away. "Deku are going to teach me or what?" Bakugo screamed at him. "Sure, and Kota, put the sword away till I say you're ready," he told Kota, and he nodded, running to his room. "Midoriya, why don't you teach this to the rest of the students?" Nezu asked him, walking up to him. "They are too weak and don't deserve the technique that I made." Izuku screamed at him. "Oh, you made this technique? How?" Nezu asked, interrogating him. "I am the smartest and strongest, that is how," he yelled, walking away. "He is smart, though he lacks basic education." He made a technique that could rival some quirk, none like One for All, but still it could be revolutionary if I got a hold of it. Nezu thought as he watched Izuku walk away with Bakugo telling him what to do for the technique quietly. Nezu, he won't tell unless you can prove yourself to him or he has something to gain from you. Izuku told Nezu. By the way, can we talk about living conditions because we gave guardianship of Kota to a teen that might be a bit insane from lack of human contact, Mandalay said while looking at the students still trying to get up. Well, we could say we never shook hands or he can't take of him, Izuku said drinking his coffee. I am pretty sure that will up in either him just taking Kota, us getting sliced into bits and or turned into statues. That kid has all the pieces in his favor, so we need to tread carefully, Nezu said walking back to the camp. Alright, do what I ask then let off an explosion. Izuku instructed Bakugo while he aimed his palms up. His muscles expanded all around his body and released a massive explosion triple the size compared to what he did during the sports festival. Cough cough cough. How the hell do you keep that on during a fight? Bakugo asked yelling at him. It takes time to learn full concentration breathing. So I am going to teach you the basics, then later I am going to teach the rest, Izuku said in a calm smart tone, confusing everyone that heard him. So he becomes smart with he is talking about how to fight. They all thought similarly. Midoriya, thank you for telling us about what that pervert was doing. Shroom Kanoko said walking next, seeing that he wasn't a bad guy. Suddenly he picked her up into the air by her weight with both of his hands. What are you doing? Shroom, she yelled frantically. He sniffed her. You smell like my favorite mushroom. How? He asked, wanting to know the answer. It's in my quirk, I make mushrooms using my spores. Shroom, she said panicky. He put her down gently. Oh okay, that makes sense. I thought that you had some on you. It comes only during the cold times, Izuku said with a reassuring voice. Shroom was all she said as she walked away with a reddish tint on her cheeks. Deku, stop picking people up, you are gonna arrest for assault, Bakugo yelled at him. Hey snake boy, I got something for you, Hatsune yelled running at him. She stopped right in front of him with a pair of glasses that looked like sunglasses. I was looking at the footage when you turn All Might into stone. So I realized that your quirk only actives when we look into. She stops talking to catch her breath while she does. Bakugo walked away because dealing with her was a pain in the ass. So I notices that when we looking into your eyes we turn to stone. So I stole, some materials from the camp to make this baby, she yelled at the last part to present a pair of reflective glasses. These are like a one-way mirror, you can see us, but we can't see your eyes so we don't get turned to stone. She taking off his mask and stared into his eyes, turning her to stone. You dumbass, you take off my mask and look into my eyes, Izuku yelled, sticking his into his mouth, ripping out his fang and stabbed it into her neck, turning her back to normal. So that is how your eyes look like and how it feels to be turned to stone, she said, not batting an eye of what just happened to her. She takes off his mask again, this time not looking into his eyes. She places the glasses on him and he looks around. These work so cool, he yelled while she held out her hand. Payment, she said. Wah. You need to pay me for them, she said excited. What, I don't have money, Izuku yelled. Then how about this, you sign this contract for them? You will be my baby tester whenever I ask you. Sound fair, she said, taking a piece of paper out from her back pocket. Fine, Izuku shouted, taking the paper and cutting himself. He placed a drop of blood and 5 bloody fingerprints on the paper. She looked at it and nodded. Good enough to hold in court, and now I have a test subject, she yelled, smiling evilly. Why does it feel like I played like when the beavers told me I couldn't build a better dam than them? So I made one bigger and stronger one. They laughed at me because I did all the work for nothing. Izuku thought. Why is a bus window gone? Powerloader yelled. Where are my glasses? I need them to see, Ida yelled, trying to walk with blurry sight. Time to run, partner, before they find out that was me, Hatsune said as they ran away from the scene. It was turning nighttime and Izuku was using his new glasses that made it that he could actually see instead of him using his senses. He took in a deep breath, letting his muscles expand. He swiftly kicks boulder, smashing it to bits. He put his foot down and let it regenerate the cracked bone. "Now that is how you do it, purple hair," he yelled at Jiro, who took in a deep breath following his instructions. She didn't bulk up, though Izuku noticed that her body did it right. Her movements sped up. Instead of strength, she got faster. Jiro went to kick another boulder before she did. Izuku pulled her back. "What the hell, Cabbage Patch?" she shouted at him. "You're faster, not stronger. That means you will break leg if you kicked it," Izuku said in a calm tone that threw out his wild self from a couple moments ago. He suddenly felt something tackle him to the ground. "Whada hell ya doing?" he screamed, reaching for his serrated swords. He looked down to see Kota. "Oh Kota, what ya need?" Izuku said, patting his head. "I need to show you my hideout," he said, excited. "Sure," he yelled. "Oi, purple hair, go back to the small fries," he said, and Jiro just nodded, walking away. She made it back and saw that her classmates were ready for bed. "Hey, I thought we were doing a test of courage?" she asked. "No, we are not anymore. A lot of you are injured still from Midoriya joining the training, so no test of courage," Aizawa said, tiredly drinking his coffee. "Oh yeah, about Midoriya, Kota is taking him to his hideout." "Something like that?" she said, walking into building until she smelt something burning. She turned back along with the rest of class that was present, saw the forest had a glowing blue hue that was lighting up the sky. The blue flames swept the forest, making hard for anyone to enter. Everyone inside: Vlad, Midnight, Mike, Powerloader, protect the students. Pussycats, all mighter with me, Aizawa instructed as the fire grew bigger. "Where is Kota?" Mandalay yelled. "He is with Midoriya inside the forest," Aizawa informed. "Don't worry, as long he is with him he will be fine." Cut to Izuku. He was currently having Kota on his back while being surrounded by a couple villains that followed him and Kota up the mountain. "He has the kid whose parents gave me this," Muscular yelled, removing his mask that to show his scarred face. "Don't worry, brat, I will tear you limb from limb like I did parents." Kota began to cry as Izuku got pissed. "You hurt his parents," he yelled, looking at the people surrounding him. "Flesh, flesh, give me flesh." Moonfish yelled, sending his sharp, jagged teeth at them. Izuku evaded them, jumping into the air, then taking a gunshot to the shoulder courtesy of Mustard. "Gag shit," he said, looking at the forest, seeing it being burned away with flames as blue as the sky. His home, his kingdom was getting taken from him. He turned into his Lamia form, constricting Mustard till he passed out. Then he went to Moonfish, but Muscular grabbed the end of his tail and swung him into the mountain. Izuku shifted his body at the last second so Kota didn't get hurt. "You will pay for that," he yelled as he grabbed his serrated blades, only for Moonfish to cut off his arms from the elbow down with his jagged teeth. "Oh yes. Sweet, sweet, flesh," he yelled while Izuku's blades fell to the ground. Kota was on his back, bawling his eyes out at sight of what was happening. Izuku's eyes were out on full view, though it didn't help that Muscular was not looking at them and Moonfish was wearing a gimp suit. Izuku tail whipped Muscular in the gut, sending him back a bit while jumping into the air, evading the teeth. He then bit through one of the jagged teeth, with one slicing his stomach open. "You think I give a shit that you cut my arms? I will just kick your asses with my feet. If not, I will bite your throats out like I do to the bears that don't obey me," he screamed out, transforming out his Lamia form into his human form. He took in a deep breath and, instead of bulking up, his movements sped up, copying Jiro's way of her breathing technique. He began to dodge both Muscular's blows and getting grazed by the teeth. "Stay still, kid, so I can have my fun," Muscular yelled. "Flesh, give me more," Moonfish yelled, sending out more jagged teeth. Izuku had butted the tooth blade, about to stab him, breaking it. "Like hell I will give you my flesh," Izuku yelled. "He can't go at full speed because he will die," Kota thought as he held on. "Not today, Kota. I won't die ever," Izuku yelled, diving at Moonfish, getting impaled by multiple jagged teeth. "Flesh, more flesh." Moonfish was cut off for fact that Izuku bit out his jugular by turning into his Lamia form at the last second, extending his reach. Moonfish falls over bleeding out with Izuku breaking his teeth and spits out the flesh. "See Kota, I won't die," Izuku yelled while his Lamia form was all bloody from being stabbed multiple teeth. "Well, looks like I can have my fun now. Let's go, Snake Boy," Muscular yelled. Izuku put down Kota from his back. "Stay back, I will take care of it," he yelled, tackling Muscular off the ledge of the mountain. "This won't kill me, boy," he yelled, activating his quirk to cushion the fall. "Just look into my eyes, you bastard," Izuku yelled, forcing Muscular to look at his eyes, turning him to stone before they slammed into the ground full force. Izuku got up from the ground with his arms still not regenerated. He had multiple stab wounds and lots of broken things in his body, that is all he could tell. He looked at the broken statue of Muscular and just climbed using just his feet up the mountain, grabbing Kota and swords. He jumped off again, breaking his legs, but just kept walking toward the camp. He was bloody and was covered in dirt with dirty wounds covering his body. He looked around, seeing his burning forest. It was getting really hot from the fire. "Kota, is it hot for you?" he asked in a kind tone. "Yes, it's really hot," he say, sweating, and Izuku finally regained his arms. Izuku puts him down. "Kota, just stay still for a bit." Izuku tearing a bit of his bear hide pants. He wrapped the bear hide around his eyes. "Kota, I found some water I am going to drop on you," he lied, slicing his body, dropping his blood on Kota so he wouldn't overheat. "Thank Izuku, that really cooled me down," he said as Izuku picked him up and started to run towards the camp. He slides under a blade that was thrown at him. "Oh, a cutie. Covered in blood. Hi, I'm Toga Himiko. Let me have your blood," Toga yelled, trying to slice him. "How about we make a deal?" Izuku yelled, trying make sure that Kota didn't get hurt. That made her stop, considering his words. "What type of deal?" she said, still trying to stab him. "What do you want?" Izuku shouted, blocking the blade with his serrated blade. "I want your blood," she yelled. "Really, that's it?" Izuku said, surprised. "I will give the blood. No more fighting and I will give you all the blood you could ever want." "Really, like seriously? I thought you would be creeped out, but blood is blood," she sticking out her hand. He grabbed it and a snake appeared, wrapping their arms. "Huh, snake, that's weird," she said. The snake faded. "Here, have the blood," Izuku yelled, slicing his hand, and held it out. She drank it and fell over. "So sweet. Let me have more," she yelled, then passed out from the intense taste. "You gotta be fucking with me," Izuku shouted. He picked her up and walked to the camp. He made it back to see the yellow man fighting a green thing with 4 arms. Suddenly a purple misty thing opened, making the green monster thing disappear. "Izuku, are we there yet?" Kota asked. "Yeah, we are," Izuku responded, shouting, making him known to everyone, and they saw him covered in blood. So was Kota, and he was carrying a blonde girl that was passed out with a smile, also having multiple syringes on her. "The fuck are you looking at? Oi! Deku, get your ass over here," Katsuki yelled, placing his hand on Izuku's face. "I don't wanna see statues of my teachers again." "Shut it, spiky hair," Izuku shouted back while Kota hopped off his back, taking off his blindfold. "You said this was water," he yelled out while Mandalay checked him for injuries. "Well, it was that or you overheat," Izuku said to him, and he ruffled Kota hair much to his delight. Izuku turned towards his forest. It was all burning down. He slid his mask up to see his home being destroyed from invaders of his territory. "Spiky, hold her, I gonna save my kingdom," Izuku yelled, handing Katsuki Toga, who is still passed out. "Midoriya, don't you dare leave again. There still might be villains," Aizawa yelled at him, making him stop. "You ain't my dad." Something deep down Aizawa felt hurt. Just like that, Izuku took off running into the burning forest. He slid under a log that was about to fall on him. His body felt like it was fire from the heat of the forest. He kept running towards an area that could save his forest. "Where fuck is it?" he shouted, jumping over a ditch. Izuku then sees the lake that he was trying to find and jumps into it. Outside the burning forest. Will he be okay? Ragdoll asked, trying to use her search quirk to find him, but couldn't. Knowing him, he will pull something out his ass or something like Bakugo yelled out. The fire is bright blue, though it is pretty, it has to be hot in there. Pixie Bob said, making a earth ditch so the fire doesn't spread to them. One question I have, who is the blonde girl? Mandalay asked, looking at the sleeping Toga that Bakugo dropped to the ground somehow that didn't wake her. I don't know, but I believe that she is a villain that he saved from the fire. Though instead of being beat up it would seem that she passed out, Aizawa said, looking at the sleeping teen. Suddenly they see a massive head poke out of the woods, followed by a massive tail. It was covered in green scales with some spikes lining the face and spine with a black belly. Holy shit, Bakugo yelled at the size of the massive serpent that was dripping in water. He has to be at least 50 meters long, Mandalay shouted while Kota looked in awe. That might right, Miss Mandalay, Nezu said, looking at the creature with great interest. Damn Deku, how many forms do you have? Bakugo yelled out the giant serpent. Suddenly the massive serpent sprayed water from its mouth at the fire, putting it all out. He put out the fire. Power loader says. The serpent then began to shrink in size. It took a couple minutes, but Izuku came back to the others while Katsuki walked away to go to sleep, not wanting to hear him boast. I am just the best. I saved my kingdom by myself, he boasted as they looked at him. Problem child, who is the girl? Aizawa asked, pointing at Toga, who was passed out on the ground. She is now one of my allies, he responded, crouching next to her, poking her with a stick. Her eyes opened and widened to see Izuku poking her with a stick. She slid down a knife down from her sleeve. Toga drives the knife into Izuku's head, so he places his left hand in the way, stabbing his hand, but catching the blade. Hey cutie, mind giving me some more blood? She screamed, retracting her knife. Sure thing. I made a deal, and a proper and great no awesome king always follows through with it. Izuku boasted, using his stabbed hand to give her the blood she wanted. I'm so good and sweet. It tastes like sweet candy. But I feel sleepy, Toga said, falling back asleep. See one of my allies, Izuku said, picking her up only to be surrounded by teachers and Detective Namasa. Midoriya, hand over the villain. The detective said, aiming his gun at him again. The teachers looked at him with content. He had a person that could pose a danger to the students and them. Izuku shifted his head to the side and came up with a plan, mentally telling the snakes around him to follow his plan. I don't feel like it, so make me peasant, Izuku said to the detective in a taunting tone. The thing is, do you believe that giant serpent was me? Don't be ridiculous, young Midoriya, there is no way that a snake of that size exists. All Might said in his buff form. You should believe the king's words, yellow man. If I was lying, then why didn't I transform here instead of running into the forest? Izuku stated, with his tone changing his persona from a rash screaming kid to taunting bashful person. Suddenly dozens of trees began to topple, heading towards them, making large thud sounds. Izuku looked in the direction. Do you believe my words now, yellow? Izuku yelled at him, making them all look in the direction ready for a fight. Izuku instantly lifted his mask and stared into all their eyes, turning them all to stone statues. Always keep your guards up when you have an angry king in front of you, Izuku said coldly, walking away from them. They will be like that until I say so, Izuku said to the pussycats and Nezu, who nodded. Kota, let's get my blood off you, Izuku said in a cheerful voice. He walked to a spare room and placed down a sleeping Toga. Then took Kota to the bath to get rid of the blood that poured on him when they were covered by burning forest. Suddenly his left arm fell off from the shoulder down, turning to dust the moment it hit the ground. Izuku, why did your arm fell off? Kota screamed in terror. Kota, calm down, this happens when I use my powers too much, he said calmly, making Kota calm down. It will be back in the morning, Izuku said, finishing getting the blood off of Kota. Kota ran to his aunt to sleep, and Izuku sat next to Toga in a chair. He leaned his head back, hitting the wall. Then let the darkness of sleep take him into his hazy mind. The pussycats looked at the statues of their coworkers. The hell is the protocol for this situation? Ragdoll asked Nezu. We have to go by his terms. He has all the power in this situation, but first we need to make sure they don't get damaged. Nezu responded, patting statues. Yes, sir, they all said, putting a tarp over the new lawn decorations. Andy, Kota yelled, running to her. Kota. What is wrong? Mandalay yelled, picking him up. It's Izuku. His arm fell out, then turned to dust. Like it fell off randomly? She asked, with him shaking his head yes. Now that is strange. First the petrifying people, Regan, and snakes. Then with Shota not able to turn his quirk off and Manama not being able to copy his quirk, Nezu said, looking over the footage and notes he took along with the documents of his parent. The abilities he has shown have gone far past our version of natural in this world. Nezu says, connecting the dots. He doesn't have a quirk, that is the simple answer. He states. How does he not have quirk? We have seen him use it. Pixie Bob interjects, we believed it was quirk, but even if it were to mutate, his quirk wouldn't be anything like this. Then what does he have? Tiger asked while looking at the statues. That is what I am trying to find out. I looked into his parents. His father had fire breath and his mother had a weak telekinesis that could pull small things to her, Nezu said, flipping through the packet he had. So I looked into the backgrounds for their ancestors. His father's side had all fire quirks, but when I looked into his mother I found nothing and was locked out. Locked out? You mean the Hero Association locked you out? Mandalay yelled. He shook his head, nodding. Why did they do that? Mandalay asked. I don't know, but I looked into the father's past. He was living in Greek for a bit before coming back to Japan with a wife. A wife? You mean he got married over there? Pixie Bob asked, confused over where the conversation was heading. Yes, here is thing, it just a theory, but Izuku Midoriya may not be fully human. Nezu suggested, showing them a photo showing the family together happy. Ah, he looks so innocent back then, but not human? Tiger asked. I believe the reason that Inko Midoriya has no background, no date of birth, and the Hero Association locking me out in the first place. I believe that she is the Greek myth Medusa, Nezu stated. Medusa? The one with snakes for hair and turns people to stone, that got killed by a Greek hero back then. How she looked normal and like a normal housewife, though she is pretty cute as well. Tiger say, rubbing his chin. Yes, that would count for his abilities, but he can turn them back to normal people. Last time I read it meant death to be turned to stone, Ragdoll stated. Yes, but if it is true that he is her son, he got stronger abilities than his mother, though we can't rule out that eventually he could get his father's fire breath as well. Nezu theorizes, with them getting a realization. Nezu, you don't think the reason you were locked out was because they knew who Inko was, right? Pixie Bob asked. Nezu thought about and nodded. It is plausible that they didn't disappear from a villain's doing. I hope it's not true, but it's a good chance that Inko was taken by the association. This made them stop the people they work for. Could have possibly taken Inko for testing or killed her along with Izuku's father. If that is true, then we can't let them find out about Izuku being alive, or exist for that matter, Mandalay yelled, with Kota, who was still there, nodded. Look, Mandalay, I will protect Izuku from being tested on like I was, Nezu said, touching his scar. Then either she is dead or is somewhere in the association/compound being tested on for being mythical being. Ragdoll says, not liking either option. She stated. We will talk about this in the morning once Izuku is awake again. Kota, don't tell Izuku this, it could make him go crazy, Nezu said the child as he nodded to Nezu. They all walked into the campsite building. While a float hand and I go back to their owner. Guys, you heard them right? Momo asked, holding a speaker while Setsuna arm and eyeballs came back with a microphone device. Class A and B stood in silence because of the information they heard. I am going to kill them all, Bakugo said quietly, filled with rage. I thought villains got them. No, those damn bastards. Bakugo, stay calm. It a theory, Uraka yelled at him. Bullshit. Round face. The villains didn't know about his family, and all the evidence of their disappearance is little to none. Now, Roundface, do you still think that the government didn't do it and it is just a theory? He asked her, where she didn't answer. I didn't think that they would do that, poor Midoriya, Kirishima said, with Tetsu nodding with him, so unmanly. Midoriya needs to stay hidden from the government. Karotsuyu said, "How the hell do we do that?" Jiro asked with an annoyed tone from the situation. "Maybe we leave him in this forest?" Denki said, unsure of his answer. "Like hell I will leave him. He needs to come back with us," Bakugo yelled at Denki. "Think of it, Bakugo, they couldn't find here, maybe that is the best choice. A forest where he has the advantage over everyone that enters it." Momo states, looking down. "There has to be a better way than leaving him here." Shroom Kinoko said, pacing around. "If Nezu can enroll him, then he would be protected by UA like us." Setsuna presented. "I doubt that he can read or act like a student should in a learning environment. Ida say single-handed chopping. That is what the school is for, they can teach him all the basics to be normal," Toru said, excited. "You guys are talking about the wrong things." Manama spoke up, getting all the eyes on him. "What do ya mean, Manama?" Kendo asked. "I mean, will he listen? Will he stand down when asked? Can he be readjusted for society? Will he continue to fight? Can other people accept him? Can he protect himself or others?" "Of course he can." Prosu was interrupted by Manama. "He can protect himself against students, not pros. If the Hero Association did do it, that means they will do whatever is needed to get him. Even labeling him a villain so the pros go after him." Manama finished and walked out. "He is my new and only partner now, so I am not giving up on something that valuable," Hatsum yelled, tapping her foot. "Look, maybe can hide him in UA, not as a student. Off the records like he wasn't there at all. We could say he is quirkless, he mainly fights with his swords anyways." Uraka suggested. "That could work out, so we can keep him us hidden to make sure that he is safe," Mina yelled, smiling. "I say we turn him in." This made them all look at Mineta. "He is dangerous like a wild animal. He constantly yells and tries to stab us." "Has he though?" Toru said in a menacing tone. "Yes. Last time I checked, none of us are hurt or stabbed Mineta. He has fought us, but never at full power or with lethal intent." Toru tells Mineta, "Yes, he tried to attack us at first. That was because he didn't know us yet. Right now he training Jiro and Bakugo to be strong like himself. He is helping us little by little. Him being with us showed us our weaknesses so we can be stronger." "You're right, Toru. Also, he isn't a pervert like you." Karosu spoke up, slapping him with her tongue. They all leave him on the ground knocked out. They all go to sleep on the information they had heard. Bakugo thought for a bit after their group class discussion. The best he could come up with, he acts quirkless so they don't find out. "Katsuki, don't worry so much, you and him will be fine." "Auntie? Why the hell was All Might and the other pros there?" Shigaraki yelled, dusting Mustard, killing him instantly. "Moonfish and Muscular are dead too," he continued to yell, throwing a chair, destroying it. "That bitch Toga got captured too. Top tier villains, my ass." "Calm down, Tomura, they must have changed plans last minute. So we will use a different plan." All for One said from his monitor before shutting off. "He is correct, we will have to come up with a better plan," Kurogiri said, wiping down the glass cups. "Fine," he said, shuffling to his room. "By the way, I am not the only one that saw that big-ass snake?" Dabi asked with Spinner, Magna and Twice nodded. "I saw it come out of the lake nearby when the fire spread to it." Spinner says, remembering what he saw. "Either we pissed off a guardian of the forest or there is a snake with size-enhancing quirk. Both are terrifying," Magna said, taking out a batch of cookies. "Who wants some?" she asked, with Dabi and Spinner raising their hands, with Twice just grabbing a cookie trying to eat with his mask on. Mr. Compress was asleep on the couch, but no one could from his mask covering his face. Cut to Izuku. He awoke from his slumber and his left arm came back. He flexed it and moved it around a bit. He noticed that he had a blanket on him. Kodo was laying on him. He smiled, ruffling his hair, not that you could see his smile. "Deku, you're finally awake," Katsuki yelled at him. "You were asleep for like 3 days. You're lucky that we have 2 days of camp left," Katsuki yelled at him. "Shoot up, I can sleep however long I need. My body needs to stay strong," Izuku yelled, with tick marks appearing over his mask. "Just turn back the teachers already. You snake bastard," Katsuki yelled at him, "Fine Spiky, I will." Izuku placed Koda next to Toga, who is still asleep as well. He walked outside, ducking down, dodging a cannonball. "How is it that you are blind right now and you can dodge a cannonball?" Momo asked, confused and not being able to comprehend how he does it. "I am just the best, Mumu," he shouted, leaning to the side, making a naval laser miss. He began to sink into the ground, making his legs stuck. "Everyone go with the plan," Momo yelled, firing another shot as Sero wrapped him tape. "Oh, I see you want to fight again. Okay, I will show you a fun time," he yelled, ripping the tape, catching the ball that Momo shot. It releasing gas inside that covered him mushrooms. "He is immobilized, start phase 2, Momo yelled, with Izuku seeing the situation was in and smiled with a feral grin. Kendo, Tetsu and Kirishima ran in from the bushes. Izuku's body was covered in mushrooms while being half buried. So he tears himself out of the ground and kicked Kirishima in the chest. "These get in my way, no matter, just work around," Izuku said, twisting his elbows the opposite direction, blocking Tetsu's blows from behind him. He sweeps Kendo's legs and followed it up with an upwards kick. "Kirishima, get near, come on, stay down," he yelled, getting a knee to the face. He backed up to seeing 3 Azukas. He couldn't block the blows in time, getting pummeled along with Tetsu, who tried to help. "Who is next?" he yelled out with his arms stretched out. "Kaminari, Jiro, blast it now," Momo yelled as Kaminari shot out electricity at Izuku, with Jiro using massive speakers and her jacks to send massive sound wave. Izuku turned into his Lamia form, covering himself in his tail as a shield for the attacks. "Todoroki, create a nice shell now," Momo yelled, with Todoroki sliding on his ice, making a perfect shell of ice around Izuku. He, I hate the cold," Izuku said inside the shell. He tapped the ground with his blades and took a deep breath. "Fifth Fang, Mad Cleave," he said, slicing in every direction around him. From the outside, the students were surrounding the globe of ice, ready for him. Suddenly the ice was sliced to bits, close to being snow. "Eighth Fang, Snake Assault." Izuku screamed, "Charge at them with great speeds," not defending himself at all. Kamakiri blocked his swords, getting headbutted in the process, making his brain slam into his skull, knocking him out. Izuku uses his body to launch into the crowd of students. "Ha ha 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 ha, this is a fight," Izuku yelled, dodging a Shishida's beast form, making him crash into Manama. Izuku gets drilled, punched in the gut, so he grabs arm and uppercuts Kabura, knocking him out. Pony and Mineta shoot projectiles at him, so he puts them down for the count. Izuku begins to slowly, but surely make his way to Momo, who was directing them on plans they came up with. "Mumu, you can't stop me for long," Izuku shouted, grabbing Kaminari's face with his hand, picking him up and chucking him on a wase. "Hey Greenie, up you go." Setsuna lifting Izuku high into the sky where she dropped him. "Have a nice fall," she said with a sharp-toothed smile. Izuku flipped her off as he fell. At the last second, Izuku turned into his small form, landing on Shishida's fluffy fur. Izuku has taken down most of the students. He went full size and charged again, fighting the ones still up. Mina slid around him, throw acid onto him, and followed it up by spinning on her hands, kicking him a couple times, knocking him back a bit. Izuku's arms were covered in acid, though it hardened, making it more harder for him to move. "That's my new super move, Midori. Hope you like it because I learned it just for you," Mina yelled, backing up, letting Ida take over. "This is for the constant workload you add to my day," he yelled, kicking Izuku's side. "Ha ha ha ha, who are you again?" Izuku asked, taunting him. Jiro came in, kicking his back using her breathing technique that Izuku taught her. "This for touching my boob when I was about to kick the rock," she yelled, red-faced, remembering. Izuku turned into his Lamia form, grabbing Ida by the leg, head-butting him, knocking him to the ground, breaking his extra pair of glasses. "Purple hair, I am sorry if touched you there, I didn't mean to," Izuku said with his head down. Jiro got close to him. "It is okay, I know that she didn't get to finish because Izuku chopped her neck, knocking her out." Using his new freed hands from Mina's hardened acid. "Everybody that is left go to phase 4, Momo yelled with Sero, Mina and Setsuna trying to keep immobilized for a bit longer. Kanoko, Kodai and Duraka do your side of the plan, Momo said watching Izuku choke slam Sero into Mina. Then proceeded to grab Setsuna's head. This is for what you did earlier, he yelled headbutting her. Now. Release, Uraka yelled connecting her finger pads together. Meteor shower. The sky was filled with pebbles falling. Suddenly they grew instantly in size with Kodai's help. Izuku grabbed his blades aiming at the sky. Fourth fang, minced to bits, Izuku yelled using both of his blades to do multiple diagonal double slashes with both swords upwards. Slicing the boulders to bits landing near him in smaller bits. Suddenly air was filled with spores coming from the sliced boulders. He covered in more mushrooms. Mushroom forest. Shroom Kanoko yelled making his entire area covered in mushrooms. Todoroki now, Momo yelled with him shooting his fire at Izuku instantly lighting him on fire. The other guy's fire was hotter than this. Izuku says while still on fire. Ninth fang, godly undulating slice. He yells raising his blades up and dislocates the joints of his arm. He uses the back of his blades then hitting the three girls knocking them out. How we are all the way back here, and did he really put godly in the name his attack? Momo said as Izuku popped his joints back together instantly. The fire soon died out with Izuku being unharmed except his pants being scorched. Momo noticed something. He is breathing hard right now. Toru, Sue, Shiozaki now, Momo yelled with Izuku reaching into the quicksand grabbing a person. You're in my way of glory, Izuku yelled grabbing the back of his head making him go face first into the dirt. Next time I will make sure that you will eat dirt, Izuku yelled at him slicing the vines about to pull him. Not now vines, Izuku yelled feeling something wrap around his stomach. Pray? Izuku says confused. He says getting slammed into the ground repeatedly. Pray I am going to rip that tongue off, Izuku yelled knowing it is Sue from her scent. You know that you are very loud, Sue yelled with Toru chiming in also very muscular. Toru that has nothing to do with this. Tsuyu said confused I know, but I am not drawing it like he was carved out of marble, she yelled not noticing Izuku behind her. Thank you for the praise, he shouted knocking her out. Wait when did you get out of my tongue? Tsuyu said looking at her tongue to see shedded skin. I am just that amazing aren't I? Izuku yells tooting his own horn. He knocked out Tsuyu after she asked him to because she didn't want to hear him boasting anymore for a bit. How many small fry are left now? Izuku asked tapping his foot sensing that only a couple were left standing. Midoriya you win. We surrender, Momo said putting her hands up along with Shoto and Ibara. The two were last ones standing and they knew Izuku would pummel them. Izuku strolled to Momo I just the best that is why I won. So don't feel bad I am just that good, Izuku said leaving Momo confused. Was he trying to cheer me up while praising himself? Momo thought confused. The teachers walked out seeing the knocked out students. For 3 days of training they sure did get stronger that is good enough. An unpetrified Aizawa says looking at his students. Looks like the planning they did didn't bear fruit, but this give them more information for their growth as a whole, Nezu said looking at the student getting back up. 3 days of training won't provide mass growth, but it can set them up with a guideline to follow, Aizawa said looking wide awake. Hey! How are you not a stone man right now? Izuku shouted at Aizawa while he did a shit-eating grin at him and tossed Izuku his tooth that Hatsune kept. Suddenly Hatsune appeared behind him. Hey there partner. A fang for testing, she said with her hand out. Izuku turned his head to her nodding. He sticks his hand into his mouth lifting his mask. He pulled out a fang handing it to her. She placed it in a vial for later. I found out that your fangs secrete some type of venom that disintegrates the outer stone like a virus. That is why you were able to bite the stone. Also that the whole person gets turned to stone not just the outer layer. I know because I broke Stone Mite's arm. Don't worry I glue it back and he is fine now, she said with Izuku nodding to the information she was saying to him. The fuck is she talking about? he thought, still nodding. Goggles. Shut up for a second, I know I'm great, he yelled, making her stop. I am the king of the forest. I don't care how my abilities work. All I need to know that it works, Izuku shouted at her, eyes zoomed in and out. Okay, but I need to understand them so I can provide gear. She responded with a crazed smile, like it or not, I need to understand. Izuku grew multiple tick marks. He was about to explode until a tongue wrapped around him, lifting him into the air. Midoriya, stop it, no more fighting. Tsuyu said, with him struggling out of the tongue. Here's your favorite mushroom. Shroom, Kinoko said, with a mushroom appearing on her hand. Izuku stops moving and gets set down by Tsuyu. He sniffs the air around, crouching down to Kinoko's height. He moves his mask to the side and takes a bite of the mushroom. Was it the right one? Shroom, she asked nervously. Izuku picked her up and spun her around, hugging her tightly. WWO. Shroom, she yelled out. Midoriya. Put her down. Tsuyu yelled out, with Hatsune looking at the scene. No. I have to protect her, she can make my favorite mushroom. He started woozily said till he collapsed onto the ground. Kinoko got off him red-faced because she was manhandled high him. It did feel good a bit, Shroom, she thought, looking at the knocked-out boy. Looks like the sedative took long to take effect, Nezu said, walking up to Izuku. Your plan to beat him failed, but my plan of him letting his guard down worked, Nezu said, sipping his never-ending teacup. Sir, we are all packed up to leave. Also, the bus is completely fixed after someone decided to take parts of the engine for a bomb. Power Loader yelled, looking at Hatsune while she whistled, looking away. Sir, are you sure then we should take the villain and Midoriya with us? Ida asked. Well, if we didn't he will kill us, that is why she going to be transported with us. Hatsune do the thing and Shiozaki, Jiro, Kinoko, Asui, Tokage, and Bakugo sit at the back of the bus. If he wakes, make sure that he stays calm so we don't crash, Nezu said as the students entered the bus. Hatsune bent down and turned Izuku's head to the side and whispered into his ear, turn small, O great forest lord. Izuku's body shrank to his small snake mode. Ibara make her hair into a nest-like structure and Hatsune placed him inside. Kinoko placed some mushrooms into the nest, making it smell like the forest itself. Remember the plan, you guys are the only ones that have gotten him to calm down, that is why we are doing this. Aizawa says to the students that they filed into the bus. Kota and Pussycats came along on the bus as well, looking at the nest that Ibara was cradling. He like a monster baby that hatched from an egg, Setsuna said, taking pictures of the scene. I get why you all are here, but why am I here? Ibara asked, looking them. Kinoko can make his favorite mushroom. Jiro is his student, so is Bakugo. Tokage can restrain him in the air easily. Asui is the closest to him compared to Bakugo, and Kota is his heir. Ibara explained. It's your scent, Bakugo says out loud. The smell of you will make him believe he is still in the forest so he doesn't wake up. That makes sense, Ibara said, looking at Izuku, noticing something. Where are his cloths? She asked as they looked back at her. Jiro tilted her head to see. Yep, his cloths are gone except for his mask that shrank with him. That begs the question, what happens to his pants when he goes into his half-snake mode? Setsuna said to Kinoko. Well, do you guys think that his cloths go into his body or become his body? Tsuyu questioned, putting her finger on her chin. Doesn't matter how Deku's cloths disappear as long they stay on. That is all we need to know, Bakugo yelled, with Ibara wrapping his mouth quickly. Shh. He is trying to sleep, Ibara whispered, yelled as Izuku shifted in the cradle/nest. He is like a cute lamia baby, Ibara said, sticking her finger in with Izuku's tiny hand, grabbing it, making her smile. I think she is getting too attached to him quickly, Tsuyu said to the others, girls nodding while Bakugo and Kota didn't care. The drive went smoothly until they lost Izuku in the bus somehow. Where the fuck is Deku Thorns? Bakugo yelled at Shiozaki, who was freaking out for losing the small lamia. Calm down, students. He is still in the bus, so we just need to search and Midnight stay on standby just in case of a violent outbreak. Nezu orders. They all checked around their seats for Izuku that somehow has stayed quiet the entire time they looked for him. Deku. Where the fuck are you? Bakugo yelled, breaking the seat. Midnight knocked him with her quirk so he wouldn't cause more property damage. Okay, let's us not freak out or do something trash like Bakugo. Shiozaki, how did Midoriya disappear? Aizawa asked her. She looked up. Well, I was holding him like my mother would when I was a baby. Then I drifted to sleep for a nap because I was tired. I awoke to Bakugo yelling at me that he disappeared. She responded. Well, that doesn't really help out, Aizawa said, grabbing the bridge of his nose. Maybe he sleepwalked. I used to do that when I was younger, Kaminari yelled out. That could have happened, though we would have found him or a clue at least, Nezu said, slipping his tea. Well, I know he is still on the bus because my animal instincts are still high alert for predators, Karotsuyu said with her shivering a bit along with Tokoyami. Well, that settles it, he can turn invisible, Sero said with Toru hitting his arm. Hey, don't say that. If he can do that means he is better at being invisible than I am. If he was, does that mean he can see you because you both were invisible? Kaminari asked with Momo face palming. Ignoring that question, we still don't know where he is, Midnight said. Kanoko and Jiro looked at Kota to see if he was distraught from Midoriya's disappearance. They looked at each other and nodded. Mr. Aizawa, we found him, Jiro said, pointing at the sleeping Kota with a blanket on with a unusual bump in it. You gotta be joking, Aizawa said, taking off the blanket, revealing an Izuku Midoriya curled up on Kota's sleeping stomach. Aizawa tried to pull him off, only for Izuku to be latching on with his hands, not letting go of Kota. Fine. Have it your way, this is why cats are better, Aizawa said, going back to sleep. That was surely something though. Students, let's play a game, Nezu said excitingly. What is the worst that could happen? Mina yelled with the others nodding. First question, what is Midoriya's strongest assets? He asked. Easy, his strength, Kaminari yelled. No, it has to be his flexibility, Kirishima countered. I think it is petrifying eyes, Jiro stated. His breathing techniques, Toru shouted with her arm up. His transformations, Kota said. His lack of a fighting style and fighting like his life is on the line. Bakugo spoke up with Nezu nodding. Yes, that is half correct, the other half is his senses. He doesn't have a fighting style without his blades, and his senses are sharp to the point he can locate Hagakure. The lack of fighting style means he will do anything to win. It won't be structured like karate or boxing. That is why he can take on so many people at the same time. Okay, next question, what is his main weakness? Nezu asked, making us silent. Well, that is tough though. He is arrogant like Bakugo. Hey. He doesn't let interfere in a fight, though he does boast a lot, but he can back it up. Momo analyzed. He is basically maxed out in all his stats, Shoto said, remembering being beaten up by someone with no hero training. That is the correct answer, Todoroki, Nezu said, making them all shocked. How is that his weakness if he is at his strongest already compared to us? Shroom, Kanoko yelled out, not understanding. Let me explain real quick. He is at the utmost strength when it comes to his powers and abilities, unlike you all who are still growing and gaining new abilities like you, Miss Ashido. With the 3 days of training we did, you gain new ability, Nezu said, with the students understanding him. He is already at his strongest. Unless he trains more or gains another ability, he will become stagnant in power while you all will grow to surpass him. He has become the wall that you all will one day climb over on your way to becoming pro heroes. That is his weakness. That is one that you all will exploit, my dear students, Nezu said in excitement, with the students getting pumped up. Will that mean Midoriya will fall behind us? Karotsuyu said, speaking up. That is something UA will help out with. He needs to be educated to be a proper person first, then he will be taught to be a hero. By then you should be at his level or past it, to the point each of you can fight him 1v1. Nezu claimed, with everyone cheering, waking a certain snake. You want to surpass me? Then try, you bunch of extras. Tiny Lamia Izuku yelled. Try me. I am the king of the forest for a reason. I will show you my superiority. Well then, Midoriya, how about we make a bet? If one student can beat you in the future, then you show me the thing you are hiding in your mind, he said with Izuku scratching his head. Fine, but I will win though. I want a prize if they can't beat me, so I want my forest land, Izuku yelled at him. That can be arranged, Nezu said with a glint in his eyes which made Midnight and Aizawa shiver though he was asleep. Izuku hopped off Kota, slithering to Kinoko. Mushroom girl, I will protect you for providing me with my favorite mushroom, Tiny Izuku said, grabbing her hand. Kinoko, who didn't know how to respond, so she just nodded. Purple hair, prey, thorns, and lizard, I will get you all for tricking me into going into my great slumber, Izuku claimed, with them not being able to take him seriously from the squeaky voice and small stature like Mineta. Everybody out, we are back at UA, Aizawa said with everyone getting out. Bakugo picked up Kota and Izuku's place on his shoulders. Bakugo, where are you taking Izuku? Midnight asked him. My parents are his godparents, so legally they are his guardians by law. Also they and I have waited long enough for my brother to come home. Mandalay scooped Kota away. Kota stays with me. Also give Midoriya some of your cloths so he doesn't stand out, she said with Bakugo nodding. Hey, leave my heir alone. He stays with me. Tiny Izuku yelled, so Mandalay gave him a piece of hard candy. He be with me for a bit, got it? She said with a stern tone. Izuku took the candy. Fine. If he gets hurt I will hunt you down. Petting Kota's hair. She just walked into UA with the rest of the pussycats and teachers. The students got their stuff together and were told by Nezu not to tell them about Izuku and the villain attack that he kept under wraps. Boss, can you supply me with some more delicious blood? An awake Toga Himiko yelled with everyone jumping. Looks like the villain woke up, Aizawa said tiredly. Miss Toga, I will let stay a free person if you can stay with Recovery Girl because I noticed you're not in good health, Nezu suggested with Toga looking at Tiny Izuku, who nodded with a thumbs up. Go ahead, I need you to be healthy to be my follower, Izuku yelled with her nodding and following Nezu. Bakugo carries Izuku to the locker rooms here. Change into these so you look somewhat normal here in the city, he stated with Izuku going full size, changing into the cloths he was given by Bakugo. These just feel good, Izuku said out loud looking in a mirror. He takes his mask off to look at himself. I look cool as shit, as the king of the forest should, he yelled with Bakugo looking into the mirror. He shifted his eyes to Izuku's, seeing his dark red eyes with some yellow for his pupils. If I stared at the mirror I don't get turned into stone like the myth, he thought while Izuku posed dramatically. He had an orange sweater on with the zipper down, showing a shirt that said normal on it, not like he could read it, along with some baggy jeans. Hatsune ran to him with a new pair of glasses. Hey partner, I just made another baby of reflective glasses. Remember, you have pay with your body, she yelled, running back to the studio to make more babies. Izuku grabbed his mask and places it in Katsuki's duffel bag and puts on the shades. Oi Deku, I gonna get us a cab, so stay at the gate, don't do nothing stupid, Katsuki yelled at with Izuku looking at the tall buildings. These mountains are huge. I bet I can climb them easy. Of course I can, I am the king of the forest, I can do anything, he yelled, climbing UA. He makes it to the top, seeing the vast forest that UA had surrounding it. He took in the scenery for a moment to see another place to get used to and show who was the strongest. Another kingdom to conquer. He screamed at the top of his lungs, making Present Mike a bit jealous. Time to get down. He backed up a bit, then took a running start, and with a massive leap he jumped off the roof of UA, turning into his Lamia form to glide across the sky, landing on top of the gate with his tail wrapping the top of it, making him hang upside down. This is bullshit. He can fly too, Mineta yelled from Class 1A looking out the window. Yeah, that makes sense, there are such things like flying snakes, it's pretty cool, Karosu said, walking out, leaving an angry Mineta in the class with the rest. Class, why does he have to have so many abilities? He screamed, hitting the wall. Don't get jealous Mineta, he has been in that forest since the age of 4. He had to be strong to survive in there, Shoji told him with Mineta ignoring him. I don't care, he getting all of the attention where it should be me, he screamed with the others ignoring his outburst. This is why Midoriya picks on you. Grapefruit, you're a whining kid. He is the perfect person to use for a milestone to pass. If he can do all that with sticks and stones, imagine what we can do with professional grade gear? Jiro asked, aiming her jacks at him. We all are training to be heroes to help while you want to a hero to be popular. Jiro said what she need walking out with Momo, Toru, and Uraka. That damn flatboard. She thinks that I can't be popular. I can't do shit to her or the other girls because of that damn snake. He would protect his flat-chested uninteresting student. That I bet he is banging every night. He angry thought alone with everyone leaving him the room. Oi Deku. I told you to stay put, not climb. Fucking UA, Bakugo yelled at him while Izuku acted like he didn't do nothing wrong. The cab he called pulled up with Izuku looking at it. Whoa. What kind of shiny beast is that? He gasped at the sight of the yellow cab. I must show it my superiority. Deku, just get in the car, he yelled, shoving him in as he protested, saying that he wanted to race it and fight the beast. With the cab driver saying that he was close to kicking them out. The Bakugo's household. Look Deku. If you do anything to piss off my parents, I will personally make sure to skin you for a brand new pair of snake leather boots. Understand? He threatened Izuku, who was intrigued by the said threat. Nah. I just gonna beat them up like the small fry. He snorted. You wanna go, you snake piece of shit? Bakugo yelled. They both go into battle stances, going to go into a full-on brawl. Shut the fuck up. I don't want the neighbors to hear. Mitsuki stopped to look at Izuku. He had green bushy hair and the diamond freckles, also was wearing reflective shades. She put her hand on her mouth and gasped with her eyes tearing up. Izuku, is that you? She screamed out. That's Forest King Izuku to you. He boasted, putting his chest out. Katsuki slapped the back of his head. Shut the fuck up. Bakugo's father Masaru then came to see what happened and was shocked to see Izuku as well. Thank God you're okay. They both yelled, giving him a tight hug. Suddenly, the both of them were weeping tears of happiness, confusing the green snake, but something about the hug made him feel right inside and he felt safe in their arms, so he hugged back, feeling complete. He also felt a lack of oxygen. Had you better let go before he, and there he goes, Katsuki said with Izuku collapsing onto the ground. Oh shit Izuku, wake the fuck up, Mitsuki said, shaking him repeatedly, with Masaru doing the same. They drag him inside and place him on the couch to sleep till he awoke. Katsuki sat at the kitchen table tapping his foot as his parents sat across him while he waited for them to ask the question. Where did you find him? Mitsuki asked him. Well, it's a long story. Katsuki told his parents how they found, or rather he found him during a training exercise. He beat all of them except for him, obviously. 12 years. 12 years. He was in there for so long. It is a good thing he found you guys, because Inko and Hisashi can finally have closure, Mitsuki yelled, hugging him. About Andy, what was her quirk? I asked, looking at Deku. Well, as far I know she was quirkless, Mitsuki started to say. Mom, can you and Dad tell me the truth? He asked, shocking them both that he actually called them their titles. They look at each other and nod. Mitsuki placed a blanket on the sleeping boy, giving him a kiss on the forehead. Katsuki, follow us to the basement, you deserve to know too, Masaru said, leading him to the basement. He opened the door with Mitsuki locking behind him. Look, we know that Inko and Hisashi weren't a normal couple, that's for sure. We also know her origin. Hisashi found her in Greece in a cave deep down, Dad said, pulling out a photo of Uncle from his teenage years with Dad. Hisashi was a bit of troublemaker, to say the least. He went to Greece for adventure and came back with a wife. According to him, he fell into a deep cavern with the exit caving in, trapping him inside. Dad explained, taking out more photos of Uncle's time Greece. He couldn't get out, so he went deeper to see if he could find a way out. Though he didn't mean to, he stumbled across a shrine. He had very little food, so he placed the food on an altar only for it to disappear, Dad said, with Mom handing me a photo of the altar. Inko then materialized from nowhere, saying that the sacrifice was best meal she had in many years, even if it was just candy. Dad chuckled, so loving candy is genetic? I thought. Eventually Inko and Hisashi escaped the underground. They stay in Greece for a bit together. Eventually they fell in love. Dad smiled when he said that, handing a photo of their wedding with Dad being the best man and Mom being a bridesmaids. Inko was a myth made real. She was Medusa, but Hisashi broke her curse, making her human again. Though she kept the abilities and was able to toggle them, Dad said, showing Amy video of her turning a bird to stone. Wait, does that means we can resurrect the Greek gods? I asked, with him shaking his head. Inko made sure that couldn't happen. Remember, she was cursed, so she got revenge by destroying the other altars of anything Greek related, Dad said, taking out another photo, her with Uncle holding sledgehammers with a pile of rock next to them. That was all the way in Greece. Did they go back? I asked, with both shaking their heads no. Inko could fly, she had wings. Mom explained, showing another photo of her hugging them with the wings. Soon Izuku was conceived and she got pregnant. Though it was weird way to give birth, Mom said, showing a picture of a giant egg with a diaper on with a scribbled smiley face on it labeled Izuku or Izumi. Soon he hatched and out came Izuku. He was the cutest little thing. You and him became fast friends, Mom laughed, showing a picture of a green-eyed Izuku and baby me hugging. The day they disappeared was on his 4th birthday, Dad said, pulling out Deku's feet scan, showing one joint toe. He was expected to get a quirk, but Hisashi told me that they were being watched. So he said that he had a plan to disappear, though as far as I know he didn't get to do it, Dad said, with a tear coming out of his eye. At least I know that his plan worked for Izuku. He was his pride and joy after all, he said, wiping the tears away from his eyes. Now I can see him grow to be the man Hisashi said he would be. Dad, do you have any idea what happened? I asked, with him shaking his head no. I have searched for the past 12 years, Katsuki. I have found nothing. He packed up the photos and files into a safe inside a safe. Dad, I think Auntie is still alive somewhere, I said, in hope of finding her. Maybe, but we can only hope for the best. Cut to UA. Let's us talk about the new additions to our roster, Nezu said, pulling up a slideshow. We have Izuku Midoriya and Himiko Toga. Both are highly dangerous in their own rights. The Pussycats and staff listened to him, nodding to his statement. Izuku Midoriya is a 16-year-old that has many abilities, but tends to be very egotistical. Though he lacks a basic education, he is smart in his own right, Nezu said, showing multiple videos of his feats. He is like a child that can be bought out for candy, though if angered he will not hesitate to kill. As far as I can tell, he is one to love fighting or challenges to prove he is the best, Nezu said, showing footage of him running a mountain that Tsuyu was climbing. He is the best out of the two to be reintroduced into society. Nezu claimed, I will set him up with an education so he can be up to par with the students in an intellectual standpoint. What makes you think he will even try to do that? We can't force him, can we? Aizawa asking a very good question. He won't be forced, but that is where his weaknesses lies in. His inferiority complex will kick in because he wants to be the best and prove it to others. So he will learn the most out of all the student to be the best, Nezu said, looking at his file. Himiko Toga is another oddball. She has been missing for 2 years. She has a blood-based quirk that seems to have been repressed by her parents. Due to that, her mental health became unstable, attacking a boy in her grade. After that, we have nothing on her for the 2 years she was missing, Nezu said, showing her charts that Recovery Girl gave him. She was malnourished and was in quirk shock from receiving Midoriya's blood, which seemed to have had great effect on her. The blood itself has been healing her and nourishing her while she slept in the camp, he stated. Poor girl, she must have gone through quirk discrimination. Vlad King said, remembering how he was treated, touching his bottom fangs. She made deal with Midoriya that made her his companion for his blood being the payment. Due to that, she is now a lost child that needs guidance, Nezu said, pulling out a form. Lots of villains are that way, young children that are lost in life only wanting to survive. That is where our society fails them, so I am starting the first ever villain rehabilitation center here in UA for the lost children that can be helped. He says, sliding them the document. We will use Midoriya and Toga as our first patients for the program. Midoriya is considered a villain in the name of the law, but he was just protecting the place he called home from invaders, and Toga did what she had to so she could survive on the streets. So I want make a difference by changing the way society views them, Nezu stated. All I need is the staff's signature. Aizawa instantly signed his and handed it in. This is the best choice for them and others. We are all human after all, so we need to help each other. Doesn't matter about what quirks they have, he said, with the others following his example. So the program will be put into effect immediately. Midoriya has guardianship of Izumi Kota from the events of the camp. So pussycats, would you all like to be a part of my staff so you can still care for him as well? He asked, with them nodding, so he gave them the forms. Welcome you pussycats, you are now trainers for rescue operations, Nezu said, sipping his tea. That is all, meeting adjourned.